カスタマイズ。
I just wanna dive into the future 共に行こうさ明日も今日も僕たちの旅は続く
Hello everyone, and welcome to AppliEpisode 2.1, because we haven't done a second episode for episode 2 yet. I'm May.
And I'm Jay.
Not Gatchmon this time.
Gatchmon!
Gatchmon! And we're going to be talking about the second Applimon episode. So as with the last one, we're just going to be basically just talking about stuff we liked and stuff we didn't like. And yeah. So, favourite bits.
So, I like the basic premise, which is something that's done really well in both episodes thus far, and I think in all three, given the next one as well, is that they've established why the bad guy going nuts, so whatever app isn't working, would be legitimately damaging not only to the main character, but to society in general. So when a messaging app goes nuts, okay, it starts sending secrets out to everybody. When the GPS app goes nuts in this episode, oh, well, everyone's getting lost. It's not getting you where you want to go. And I think it got really ridiculous with how bad things got.
Yeah, like one woman just walking in circles like an NPC.
And there's other guy who's going through the desert, and it's like, I'm only 3 blocks away still.
Or the person looking for the Eri concert.
Who's in a forest.
Yeah, and so we also see that we recognise her from the opening, is that she is another person with an Appli drive.
Yeah. And so I think it's quite interesting. I like when in the fight, and the fights are actually the highlights for me, which is weird, because in Digimon usually the fights are the most boring parts.
Because they're really clever, really, in Appli Monsters.
So the fight this time involves the bad guy, Navimon, that's it, shooting little, like, trackers onto Gatchmon, and it chases around with, like, tracking missiles, which follow little, like, the dot paths that you have that sort of lead you on your way home. I think it's really clever. And I thought it was a little bit lazy when they're like, how do you defeat a GPS?
No, this one was
the
silly.
Search term.
Yeah, this one's silly.
Even then, I think that the result they came up with was good. Was like spin and sort of like confuse it in the same way that you could confuse my GPS at home by taking wrong turn. Not about at home. My GPS in the car by taking wrong turns.
Yeah. The moment you take a wrong turn, it's like recalculating, and that could take a while, and then it might get confused. So no, that was, I did like that, but I did find it a little bit silly. Hey, they just made it dizzy.
So this is the first time we've seen a fusion, sort of, and they do the app link, and it's the app link with the message one, because that's what you always capture whatever you defeat, I guess.
Yeah.
And
you get the chip.
In this case, it sort of sits behind them, and very much like when you swipe a card in Tamers, it gives you that attack.
Yeah,
basically.
it gives you a buff.
It gives you a buff, and it gives you that attack.
Yeah.
Which I think is fine. That was always an interesting system, and I think it's better that they're shown there, sort of helping, rather than in Tamers where it's like, okay, I do a Lady Devimon breath, and then that's really it. Because it should be a weird moment when you see Leomon and Lady Devimon hanging out, but it isn't. But yeah, I think the fight was really cool. I think that the danger presented was cool. We got introduced to Winston. Is that his name? Watson. Sorry, Winston's from Overwatch.
But that's only that's like his nickname. His real name is like Takeru something.
Really?
Yep.
Takeru?
Yep.
Huh.
Yep.
Alright, well, Watson's fine. I mean, there's nothing special about him, right? He's just this guy who plays Monster Hunter and video games.
Yeah, and it's basically Monster Hunter.
And who dogs hate, we've established as well.
Yeah, for no reason. But that's fine. Like, I don't know. I found that cute for some reason. I don't know why.
He's just a friend character, and he's around, and he'll probably get an Appli drive later.
But he has like the most friend-shaped character, like as a friend, which is the one who looks a bit like a hamster.
I wouldn't know.
He's the one with the orange hair.
I didn't see.
He was one of the ones who was hanging out with. He looks like he looks like one of the friends in Yokai Watch. But anyway, I really liked Navimon. And then at the end of the episode, Navimon and Gatchmon fuse and become Dogatchmon.
Oh, because this is the episode where Cameramon shows up.
Yeah, my best character.
It's in episode 2.
Well, he shows up in the first episode.
Oh, no, but he like fully shows up.
He introduces himself as Cameramon.
Well, there's just a cute little sequence, which is the Cameramon, and someone goes, Cameramon? Like, it's C-A-A-M-E, like camera, which I think is a reference to Chimera, maybe?
Well, I heard it to be very similar to Chimeramon.
Yeah, so he hits me, no, camera.
Yamaremon.
And he's quite funny, and he's got this cool little attack where he blinds with the flash of the camera.
He takes selfies?
He takes bad selfies.
Yeah.
And throws out cameras, and he's really vain. And he's like this really interesting sort of bad guy, ninja guy.
I love him so much. He's the best.
And so you immediately run into like the second fight of the episode, and it's the second fusion. Like, oh, that's weird. and they do Gatchmon and Navimon, and they fuse, because it turns out, as they explain in the next episode, I think.
No, it's the end. No, yeah, it's the start of the next episode. Yeah.
Sometimes you just get the move. Sometimes, with the right pairing, they'll match up. It kind of establishes you can only ever do this with two of them. And I think that's really interesting, because what it sort of has the effect of is you get this very, like, rather than, it sort of does exactly what I always wanted the Jogresses to be. I don't know if this will maintain this forever, but it's like, I want them to be strict 50-50 matchups.
Yeah.
I think that...
Like Paildramon was.
Paildramon was great.
Sylphimon was okay.
Sylphimon was fine, and then, what the hell was that?
Shakurmon.
Shakurmon was nothing. It wasn't related to either of them.
Thematically, it sort of like...
It was like their personalities slightly.
It's an angel rock. It's like a totem. So
Which one of them was Buddhist? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
No, but like when you combine them thematically this way, it was really cool. Like it had the roving like data points around, but it also had like the big red helmet. And
Yeah.
it was exactly what it should be. And then unfortunately, the one problem I had with it was that it sort of won the fight by hitting really hard. What it needed to do to completely cement that as like the perfect system is have some kind of justification of how do you mix a search attack with a like a GPS attack.
I don't mean to give much away, but in 4th episode we do see something that's along those lines.
Okay, because I was like, it would make a lot of sense, because they always did this sort of thing. Gatchmon keeps saying, like, search for weaknesses, but he never did, right? And that would involve the thing. I think it would be really cool if, like, it had been, like search for weakness, and you had this moment where he puts up the magnifying glass, and then through that you see the GPS, like, tracker move around, and, like, chart a point down to, like, there.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
It was like an off switch or something on one of the cameras, or like one of the lenses. I think that would have been really cool. But instead it was just like, oh, I blast you with a buster or something.
Well, I also get the impression that this isn't their final fight. Like,
no,
it doesn't end, sort of thing. It's like, well, I'm going to run away now, because that's what bad guys do whenever they are losing. They run away, because otherwise, like, you lose and then you're not an effective bad guy.
Pretty much. Team Rocket's blasting off for the 700th time.
They've blasted off so much more times than that.
I'm not sure they have. I'm not sure how many episodes of Pokemon there have been. But I would be surprised if there were more than 700.
There are more than 700, I think. Yeah, I think.
There's no way.
I don't know. I feel like there are. Any other favourite bits?
In this episode, I don't think so. I think I've sort of covered it. The fights are really central to me, actually, which is odd, because in most Digimon, I ignore them.
Yeah. And what about negative bits you didn't like?
I don't remember. I think when it used just an attack after evolving, rather than showing what the fusion actually would do.
Yeah, and also you always seem to not like the Appli scene.
Yeah, but it's the same forever, and it's until it changes, I'm going to be unhappy with it.
I'm hoping they shorten it. Now we've seen it a few times. I'm hoping that it doesn't happen as much, or like they just have like a quick version, or it's just implied Appli.
There's a really good line when Dogatchmon, whatever it's called,
Dogatchmon
evolves. He goes, "You look kind of CGI."
Yeah, you look so cool. You even look CGI. Like, yep, that's because he is. But thank you. It's so meta.
Yeah, it is.
So far, this show's been really meta, but it has been enjoyably meta. It's not like obnoxiously meta.
It's really minor points, but like always quite fun.
So not really that many negatives.
No, not at all.
Miscellaneous points.
Dude, I don't remember that much about it anymore. I just remember it was fine.
Yeah.
Like, it showed what would happen. It spends the first half establishing why the bad guy is causing damage, and it spends the second half having an entertaining fight.
Yep.
And like that's all you need. It's really all you need.
And I'm going to introduce something that's like new to our discussion, but like isn't to my own solo episodes where I've been doing Applimon. So what I was doing in my solo episodes is I'm going to be ranking the episodes.
It's a bit hard to do that when you're watching them in order.
Yeah, but I'm going to be ranking them. So for my rank that I did, I had this as the worst episode.
Really?
Yeah, and then the episode 1 as the best one. So in that rank, so it goes 1 and then 2 as best and worst so far.
I think this is a stupid system.
I don't know.
You can't rank stuff until you've seen them all.
I know, but like we can rank it and like.
No, you can't.
Yes, you can.
It doesn't work that way.
Yes, you can. And you slot in episodes.
I'm not doing progressive rankings.
I'm going to be doing the progressive ranking then.
I refuse.
So rate this episode.
This is This is also an 8. Like, the establishing of the whole Appmon thing was a little awkward, I think, in the last one. Just a bit, because it's a bit odd, but it's fine. And at the same time, I think the fight in this one was generally more interesting, I think. The bad guys sort of made more sense rather than throwing blasts, but at the same time, it gets pulled down. It gets pulled down, by the kind of solution that they came to, and it also got pulled down by when the evolution happened. It was just a big blast. I'm kind of waiting for the first time. In the next episode, I really thought it would happen, but this one, because it was such a bad search term, I'm waiting for the time when he puts in a search and Gatchmon cannot find something.
Yep.
And I'm not really sure when that'll be, because I thought you would think traditional pacing would presume the first time that the search doesn't work is also the same episode where they do the fusion evolution for the first time to sort of fill the gaps. But we've not seen any gaps in Gatchmon just yet. Instead, we just threw the fusion into episode 2.
Yeah, and I always felt like, I don't feel like a bit of a rush to put in 2 fights in this instead of having it at the start of the next episode. But I feel like...
It did fine.
Yeah, well, after watching the 3rd episode, I felt that it fitted in better. There were some more points that I had, like, I really like how Yuujin is kind of like the stereotypical hero main character. Again, like, he's the one who finds Ai and says, oh yeah, she just took a wrong turn because of the Navi app. I'm just like... I know, I really like Yuujin, but, like, I'm pretty sure he's probably got, like, some secret agenda. We didn't see any more hints of, like, him being something not being up with Yuujin.
I totally forgot that she even got lost. It was such a minor point.
Yeah, it was just sort of brought up, and Yuujin calls Haru and says, oh yeah, I found her. Just like, I know, he's such like he's a very knight in shining armor character.
He would be. Very big, main popular kid.
Yeah. And he's just like, oh, don't worry, lady. I have found you and saved you. Ha ha ha. I'm just like, when I first watched the first episode and I saw the design of Navimon, I actually thought that Yuujin was actually Navimon in disguise.
Because he's green and... Yeah,
green, yellow, and red. And that's the colour that Navimon is. So I was like, is Yuujin actually just Navimon?
I would have believed that. It's not, though.
Yeah, he's not. But, and I didn't even connect that he could probably be Chimeramon. So, but I'm just going to call him Chimeramon now, okay? A partner. And I'm just, I don't know. It'd be a heartbreaking twist for Haru to endure, though.
You've heard there will be?
What?
You've heard there will be?
No, I feel like that would be a heartbreaking twist. Like, I don't want anything bad to happen to Haru, because he's so precious.
No, he's great.
Any other bits?
Nope.
So, any other thoughts? Like, it's still holding strong from the first episode?
Yeah, it does, which is surprising. I still can't actually believe it. There's obviously the weird question of how many Appmon are there? Are there as many Appmon as there are apps in whatever app store there is?
That's my impression that I have. Like, every app has an Applimon, but only one. There's like a one-to-one relationship.
Yeah, and then I'm like, did they get more popular more powerful the more popular their app is?
Maybe. Like, I wonder if we'll see the Fantasy Saga one from next episode. The roleplay mom with blue hair.
Oh my god. The fact that... we'll talk about the next episode.
Yeah, we'll talk about the next episode, yeah. And, yeah, so neither of us have any more thoughts? Like, are we happy to continue watching?
We have to talk about another episode in, like, 5 minutes.
Contact us and stay updated. You can email us at lostintranslationmon@gmail.com. Or you can comment on this episode or message us on SoundCloud. You can follow us on @TranslationMon on Twitter and on Vine. And you can also find us on Lost in Translationmon on Tumblr, Facebook, and YouTube. We have a discussion thread on With the Will. We'd also appreciate it if you were to review us on iTunes, Stitcher, or whatever podcast listening thingy-majingy you use. If it has a rating system, you should totally do that.
And thank you to our Patreon supporters, Sam Krieger, who hosts a podcast with Stevie called The Moncast, which talks about Pokemon and Digimon alongside each other. Wu Qinglong, who you can find at twitch.tv/Wu Qinglong. Metal Mamemon, Joe, Anime Guy, who you can find at Anime Guy Kurosaki and the number 1 on YouTube. Chakmon, Ishpal Bumba, Hiro Olado, who is at Hiro Olado on Twitter. Jason Morosky, Frost Miragic, who is at Frost Miragic on Twitter. Stephen Reeves, who is at WildWing64 on Twitter. Kaido Washi, Mac, Noam, Riku, Red, and Garen from Breakfast with Digimon, which is another Digimon podcast, and Jams. You can also make a one-off donation on PayPal, which can be found linked in the description. It's paypal.me/airjamon. Make sure to let us know it's for the podcast. Alright, well, see you guys next time. Bye! Bye!